In just 3 minutes, I'm gonna break down anime eyes that can copy abilities. After that, we'll look at eyes that predict fate, rewrite reality, improve battle prowess, and more. One by one, we'll go through every major special eye in anime. Now, starting with the eyes that copy abilities, the Sharingan from Naruto is absolutely, without a doubt, the most iconic. This eye basically gives its users two main powers, the Eye of Insight and the Eye of Hypnotism. The Eye of Insight supercharges your perception. You can see chakra, read lips, and perfectly mimic movements and jutsu. It also gives you something similar to observation haki in One Piece, considering how it lets you spot tiny muscle twitches to predict what your opponent will do next. The Eye of Hypnotism, on the other hand, lets you mess with someone's perception either by casting basic genjutsu or syncing their movements with yours. This is what Itachi used when he made people relive events or see things that weren't really there. It's more subtle than Tsukuyomi, but still super effective against anyone with low aura. Speaking of aura, the Sharingan was pure aura from the very beginning. Kakashi's legendary copy ninja name was a direct reference to his Sharingan, and we saw firsthand how he straight up copied Zabuza's water-style jutsu in real time. Honestly, I always feel for Kakashi's opponents. Imagine someone using your signature jutsu against you at the exact same moment you're about to use it. That cannot be healthy for anyone's mental health or confidence. To add on to the Sharingan's aura, let me tell you that Sasuke was able to perfectly replicate Rock Lee's speed after just 1 month, even though Rock Lee is supposed to be the taijutsu guy. By the way, definitely check out my video on taijutsu users once you're done with this one. Now, of course, Sharingan is not perfect. It can't copy Kekkei Genkai, as in, it can't copy any jutsu that is tied to a specific bloodline. And even for regular ninjutsu, you need to have the right chakra nature. For example, do you know why a non-Uchiha like Kakashi is called the copy ninja instead of any of the actual Uchiha? It's because Kakashi was a genius of adaptability, and he had complete mastery of all 5 chakra natures. That's what helped him unleash the Sharingan's full potential. Then there's also Mangekyo Sharingan, but that's more about giving the user unique personal abilities, not just copying others. We're talking about stuff like Amaterasu, the never-ending black flames, Tsukuyomi, the disgusting but insanely effective mind control genjutsu, and Kamui, a space-time ninjutsu that lets you access a pocket dimension. Plus, Mangekyo also unlocks the chakra avatar called Susanoo. Though overuse of Mangekyo can lead to blindness over time, but conveniently, Madara and Sasuke got around that by plugging in their brother's eyes to awaken the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. But hold on, while the Sharingan is the most iconic, there are other anime eyes that take copying to a whole new, even more ridiculous level. For example, Adam's Divine Reflection from Record of Ragnarok may very well be the cleanest example of pure visual-based copying in anime. Since he's made in God's image, Adam can perfectly replicate any move, any divine technique he sees, no matter how fast or powerful. He can literally dodge an attack and then hit you back with the exact same move, effective immediately. This even goes beyond just techniques, because we saw how he even adapted to physical changes like the serpent's claws by adjusting his own body mid-fight. We're talking complete, instantaneous replication of techniques, movements, abilities, even biological transformations. It's insane. Yes, the ability does put a ridiculous strain on Adam's body, but the copying itself is perfect. It goes beyond speed, power, even conceptual limits. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is Adam's ability really a special eye ability? Isn't it more a general power? Nope, because he uses his vision as the mechanism. That's how he perceives and copies everything. And then you have Yu Otasaka's ability from Charlotte. At first, everyone, including us viewers watching the show, thought it was just a temporary possession that lasted only 5 seconds. But nah, it was later revealed to be an ability called plunder. As for why it's called plunder, it's because it allows him to first straight up possess you for 5 seconds. And what you do for him is that you give him your ability, like literally. Yes, this is a much more permanent form of copying because it literally transfers the power over to him. The drawback is that if he overuses plunder, he starts losing his memory, and over time his sense of self begins to disappear. Still, bro ends up plundering everyone's ability just to free the world of supernatural powers. We have Sir Night Eye's Foresight quirk in My Hero Academia. Foresight lets Night Eye view a person's future actions from a third-person perspective, almost like watching a flashback of things that haven't happened yet. Once he touches someone and makes eye contact, the vision begins, and it can show events from hours or even years in advance. He used this mostly to dodge attacks in battle, and if you've seen his fight with Izuku, you already know how untouchable he becomes. Once he sees your future, you are not in control, but there's a catch. After activation, he can't use Foresight again for 24 hours, and because the ability is sight-based, just breaking eye contact is enough to cut it. He also can't hear anything, so no dialogue from the future, only visuals. As you can imagine, that can make things hard to interpret. Plus, the future he sees is not inevitable. He saw All Might's death, and he also saw Deku getting killed by Overhaul, but neither of those things happened because All Might and Deku were able to change their destined future. Now, how about Ada's Senrigan in Boruto? This eye grants a vast, real-time information gathering capability. It allows her to perceive absolutely everything happening in the world right now at this very moment. Plus, it also allows her to see everything that has occurred in the past, right up to the moment of her birth. We're talking about near omniscient knowledge of the present and past here. It's a truly overpowered ability, which makes sense considering it comes from Shibai Otsutsuki Shinjutsu. He's the strongest character ever introduced in any Naruto media ever. By the way, the Senrigan can even observe events in different dimensions, as long as it's something that happened after her birth. But unlike Night Eye's foresight, Ada cannot see the future. However, what if there was an ability that not only lets you see the future, but also allowed you to see it with absolute clarity? What if there was an ability that let you see all possible futures? We're talking about Yhwach's Almighty from Bleach. It makes you practically undefeatable, because not only does it let you see every possible future, you can also pick the one you like best. This is omni-precognition. Ywach can retroactively change outcomes. For example, he can avoid death by simply selecting a different future. Honestly, it's one of the most fun abilities to talk about on power scaling forums, because the debate never ends. The Almighty goes beyond just knowledge of the future. It's a form of genuine reality manipulation. The user gets to dictate causality rather than just observing it. If something is not impossible to happen, Ywach can just make it happen. He can even perceive and react to changes made to the past. This capability fundamentally shatters conventional narrative stakes, because Ywach essentially controls the plot itself. Just don't ask me how he's still lost though. Moving on, we have Noah's Eye of God from Eden Zero. The special abilities in Eden Zero are kinda like quirks or devil fruits, and they're called Ether Gear. Everyone has a different one, and Noah's is called the Eye of God. It's an absurdly powerful form of clairvoyance that lets him see where people are in 4D. I mean that literally because his ability sees through both space and time. We saw this perfectly when he revealed how he already knew about Rebecca's Cat Leaper ability to jump back in time. But neither Ywach's Almighty nor Noah's Eye of God are even a fraction as powerful as what we have next. There's the Heavenly Eye of Wang Ling in the daily life of the Immortal King. Now, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, Wang Ling has casually destroyed the Demon Realm, created an entire universe while simultaneously erasing the previous one, and reversed the entire timeline like it was nothing. At one point, while creating a new universe, he was accidentally destroying the 3 realms of existence. He is, without a doubt, the strongest character we've talked about so far. His powers are multiversal or beyond, and his eye is directly tied to that scale. This eye lets him do things like create star flames, which are cosmic level fire attacks that melt through anything, even defenses based on concepts. He can also scan memories by jumping straight into someone's mind and pulling out their past with perfect accuracy. Plus, as I said, he can actually reverse time. Even the strongest gods in the show don't know how to handle him. They literally call him an anomaly because he breaks every rule in existence. Next, we have to talk about the rinnegan from Naruto. This is still arguably the most broken and versatile natural eye in all of Naruto. The rinnegan gives you access to something called the 6 Paths technique, which is basically a full set of overpowered abilities. Let me explain. There's the Deva Path for gravity manipulation. It's what Pain used when he said Almighty Push and wiped out the Leaf Village in a single move. The Animal Path lets you summon creatures without even using hand signs, like the giant chameleon, centipede, and multi-headed dog Pain used during the invasion. The Preta Path absorbs chakra-based attacks, and Pain used it to absorb Naruto's Rasen Shuriken and even tried to drain his Sage Mode. The Naraka Path lets you heal or interrogate using a giant spirit head called the King of Hell, and Pain used this to repair his other bodies mid-fight. And the Asura Path basically turns your body into a weapon. This is how Pain pulled out missile launchers, extra arms, and even a face laser while fighting Kakashi. Plus, you've got the Extra Outer Path, which is the craziest one. This path lets you bring people back from the dead, like when Nagato used the Samsara of Heavenly Life technique to revive everyone he killed in the Leaf Village. It also lets you summon chakra chains to bind tailed beasts, which is something that both Madara and Obito use, and it gives you those black chakra rods that can control other bodies. That's how Nagato controlled the 6 Paths of Pain. You can even sense invisible barriers between worlds and understand chakra on a much deeper level than normal shinobi ever could. There's a reason why the narrative says that the rinnegan either belongs to a god of creation or a god of destruction. And then, speaking of destruction, let's talk about Anno's Vow Vow the Goat's magic eyes and misfit of Demon King Academy. As the Demon King of Tyranny, Anos possesses eyes that can literally erase anything they look at. He can even erase laws, concepts, immortality, I mean, even the reason something exists. His base version, the Magic Eyes of Destruction, only lets him do basic, reasonable stuff like breaking down attacks, canceling magic, knocking people out, and just messing with their minds by looking at them. But then there's the Mauve Eyes of Destruction, which are exponentially more busted. With these, he can erase immortals, destroy gods who aren't supposed to be destroyed, and cancel powers that are supposed to be absolute. But the craziest of them all is the Magic Eye of Chaotic Destruction. This one can break logic itself. If someone uses a power on Anos, even something that's guaranteed to hit or already happened, his eyes can erase the reason that power worked in the first place. It's like undoing the past by making it never make sense to begin with. Basically, if reality has a rule, Anos' eyes can delete it. This is beyond what we've seen Zeno do in Dragon Ball Super, because while Zeno can erase universes, Anos can erase the reason a universe was even allowed to exist. You don't even have to read the light novel. Just pull up his feats on any of the wikis and you'll see just how absurdly overpowered Anos and his magic eyes really are. Or, never mind, I'm just messing with y'all. Goku wins. That said, let's bring things back to actual combat, because it's about time we talk about eyes that are specifically built to help in physical combat. For example, we have the 6 eyes of Gojo Satoru in Jujutsu Kaisen. These eyes are fundamentally critical for Gojo to actually use the Limitless technique. I mean, it's canonically impossible to master Limitless if you don't also have the 6 eyes. That's because Limitless is an unsustainable technique. The only reason Gojo can use it 24/7 is thanks to these 6 eyes, which make his energy use insanely efficient. Simply put, the 6 eyes let him manipulate cursed energy with practically unhinged precision. He can keep using Limitless all the time because his cursed energy control is as perfect as mathematically impossible. Don't quote me on this though, I don't understand entropy. Now, Gojo can also use the 6 eyes to read cursed energy in his surroundings, see through another sorcerer's technique, and figure out exactly what they're doing just by watching how their energy moves. By the way, the reason he wears a blindfold or sunglasses is kinda like why Kakashi from Naruto wears a mask. Kakashi does it to stop overusing the Sharingan, while Gojo does it because, well, he doesn't always need confidential information about the universe. Next, there's Kurapika's Scarlet Eyes in Hunter x Hunter. These eyes are basically a visual cue for insane power-ups. Thanks to his Kurta heritage, when his eyes turn scarlet, he temporarily becomes a specialist Nen user. And as illegal as it's gonna sound, his specialist ability called Emperor Time gives him 100% proficiency in all Nen types. That's enhancement, transmutation, conjuration, emission, manipulation, and specialization all at once. This significantly boosts his force and accuracy across the board and makes him practically invincible. But with great power comes great drawbacks. In this case, every single second he uses Emperor Time shortens his lifespan by 1 hour. To put that into perspective, 1 full day, as in 24 hours, would cost him 5 years of his life. After Emperor Time, there's Akashi's Emperor Eye. It's hard to believe, but we've got a special eye ability from a sports anime. He's from Kuroko no Basket, and at first, it looks like he can see the future, but that's not exactly what's happening. What Emperor Eye really does is that it lets him see the tiniest muscle movements in his opponents, like a twitch in a leg or a shift in balance, which then helps him instantly figure out what they're about to do. So to everyone else, it looks like he's seeing the future, but really he's just perceiving reality at a faster rate. This is how he pulls off his classic move, the ankle break. He sees where his opponent is about to step, moves before they do, and forces them to lose their balance. Then there's Kanasu Yuri's Vermilion Eye in Demon Slayer. This is a focusing technique that maximizes her kinetic vision. When it's active, she sees the world as if it's in slow motion. This allows for extreme reaction times and movement prediction. It's a powerful, last resort combat boost that truly pushes human limits. She uses it during her fight against Doma, the upper rank 2 demon. When Shinobu's plan comes together and Kanao sees her opening, she activates the final form of her breathing technique, flower breathing, final form Equinoctial Vermilion Eye, to move fast enough to dodge Doma's final blood demon art and go for the kill. Inosuke also helps her land the final blow that decapitates Doma. Still, the Vermilion Eye comes with a heavy cost. The pressure it puts on her vision is intense, and overuse can rupture blood vessels or cause blindness. Kanao pays the price by losing vision in one of her eyes. And speaking of seeing things in slow motion to gain a combat edge, let's talk about the Byakugan from Naruto. Of course, the Sharingan can also be covered under this context, but the Byakugan is better for general combat because it gives you better chakra visibility. Yes, even better than the Sharingan. You get near 300 360-degree vision, the ability to see across long distances, and even through barriers. It also lets you track extremely fast movements and pinpoint chakra signatures, which means you can tell apart a real body from clones just by how their chakra looks. Because of this level of clarity, everything basically slows down. The user can follow attacks and movements so precisely that even predictive abilities from other eyes get cancelled out. But where the Byakugan truly shines is in close combat. It lets you see the body's chakra pathways and all the tiny chakra pressure points. And that brings us to the gentle fist style used by the Hyuga clan. Instead of just hitting hard, they simply strike these chakra points directly to shut down your chakra flow. I mean, just imagine for a second, what if someone touches your pressure points? It stings, right? This is the same concept, but scaled all the way up. So the Byakugan gives total spatial awareness, insane precision, and makes the user incredibly dangerous at close range. And although it doesn't get the same love as the Sharingan, the Byakugan is absolutely just as useful. And just like how the Sharingan evolves into the Mangekyo Sharingan, the Byakugan also has an evolved form, the Tenseigan. Now, you do need Otsutsuki blood to evolve the Byakugan, but when it happens, you unlock the Tenseigan chakra mode. In this mode, the user's speed, strength, and chakra control increase massively. It also grants them control over the truth-seeking orbs that can destroy almost anything and also reshape into different weapons or shields. These are similar to the orbs used by characters like Hagoromo and Naruto, but that's not all. The Tenseigan also gives the user gravity manipulation. In the last Naruto the movie, Tsunade Otsutsuki uses it to pull the moon out of orbit and send it crashing towards Earth. Now, you might have noticed a theme here, whether we're talking about the Sharingan and its copying, the Rinnegan and its reality bending, or the Byakugan and its combat precision. All these eyes we've discussed are genetic. They're passed down through bloodlines or are connected to genetics in some fundamental way. And guess what? Dragon Ball actually has something like this too. Tenshinhan's third eye. It's tied to his Triclops lineage and gives him slightly enhanced perception. What's interesting is that Akira Toriyama himself once stated that beings with a third eye are seen as godlike and are believed to have the power of true seeing, as in some kind of spiritual clarity or higher perception. But in Ten's case, he was raised by the evil master Shen, and because the third eye's true abilities are tied to purity of mind and spiritual enlightenment, Ten's potential got blocked right in the very beginning. This is also why the story doesn't really go deep into it, but it's still a great example of an OG special eye in anime. And speaking of third eyes with hidden potential, One Piece gives us Pudding's third eye. Just like Ten, Pudding is part of her world's version of the Triclops lineage, aka the Third Eyed Tribe, and just like him, she's only half from that bloodline. Also, like Ten, she hasn't awakened the true power of her third eye yet. In her case, that power would be a heightened version of the voice of all things. It's the same ability used by characters like Roger and Luffy to hear the unspoken voices of objects, animals, and even the world itself. But unlike them, Pudding's power would go beyond. Her third eye would allow her to not just hear the poneglyphs, but actually understand and read them, which was something Roger himself could never do. Of course, right now, her ability is still dormant, and she doesn't even believe it'll ever awaken. But now that she's been captured by Blackbeard, there's no way we're not gonna see it awaken soon. Alright, so far we've seen the eyes that copy, predict, rewrite reality, and boost combat. But what if you could just bypass all that physical fighting and go straight for the mind? What if you had the power of the king? We have Lelouch's Geass, known as Absolute Obedience in Code Geass. This power lets him implant an irresistible command into someone's mind. It requires direct eye contact and an audible command, but once Lelouch gets the hang of it, he can even hit multiple people at once, and its effects can last an entire lifetime. Again, this power is the absolute core of the series. Lelouch uses it to manipulate individuals and entire armies in his rebellion against the Britannian Empire. It does get too powerful for him though, because it eventually becomes permanently active, and we know how it royally screwed everything up when Lelouch joked about ordering Euphemia to kill all the Japanese. By the way, there's an ability in Naruto that's very similar to Lelouch's Code Geass. It's Shisui Uchiha's Goto Amatsukami. This is a Mangekyo Sharingan genjutsu that controls a target's actions by hijacking their subconscious. The target doesn't even know they're being controlled, they think it's their own decision. And unlike most Sharingan-based genjutsu, or even Lelouch's Geass, Goto Amatsukami doesn't need direct eye contact. It just requires a line of sight. As long as he can see you, it's already too late. Finally, there's a special eye that lets you find out someone's private information without hacking, spying, or any investigation whatsoever. It's the Shinigami eyes from Death Note, and the private info here is just their name and how long they have left to live. In Death Note, if you have the Death Note, you can kill anyone as long as you know their real name and face. That's why the Shinigami eyes are such a broken ability. Basically, if a Death Note user makes a deal with a Shinigami, they gain the power to see a person's name and remaining lifespan floating above their head. Imagine if Light had these eyes when L pulled up to his school. The story would have ended right there and then. But the reason Light didn't get these eyes is because he would have had to give up half of his remaining lifespan, and he was simply too narcissistic to give up any of his own life. And there you have it, guys. These were the special anime eyes in anime. Of course, there's still plenty we didn't get to in this video. I'm talking about stuff like the Millennium Eye from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the Saint's Eyes from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Steel Ball Run, the Jogging Eye from Yu Yu Hakusho, the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception from Tsukihime, and even the Mind's Eye from Mob Psycho 100. And what else did I miss? Did your favorite special anime eye make the list? Come on, let's keep the conversation going in the comments down below. If this video gets over 1,000 likes, you can expect a part 2 with more special anime eyes. And if you want another video like this one, you should definitely check out my video on every genius character in anime.